Get NFL Sunday Ticket at its lowest price ever and watch every game every Sunday. Take your NFL experience to even greater heights with NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, which gives you Red Zone, bringing you the final yards from around the league along with minute-to-minute NFL fantasy updates. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up today.
Good Sunday evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12, the weekend edition. Coming up tonight in news, chaos erupts in Nassau Village following yet another murder. The commissioner renews his warning to web shops engaging in illegal gaming activities. Bahamian and Cuban government officials to begin talks, plus thousands of students prepare to go back to school. Those stories and so much more on the way. I'm Monique Tude, and the weekend edition starts now. Tonight, emotions ran high in Nassau Village last night after a young man was gunned down in front of a home on Ashley Close. It's that community's second murder in 24 hours and the third murder recorded this weekend. At one point, the scene became so tense, officers armed with high-powered weapons were brought in. A woman who claimed to be the victim's sister was inconsolable at one point as she tried to get past crime scene tape and closer to the body, lying at the front of a home. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson says the man was walking along Ashley Close in Freeman Subdivision shortly before 8 last night when he was ambushed by 3 gunmen traveling in a white vehicle.
He had apparent gunshot injuries about the body. The information that we have so far, which is appealing to members of the public who might have information, is that 3 males in a small white car are the persons responsible for this latest homicide.
Within minutes of the unidentified man's murder, angry residents spilled into the streets. At one point, a fight broke out, sending residents running for their lives and prompting responding officers to call for backup. Dozens of officers soon arrived in police buses, cars, and unmarked SUVs. Some of them were seen walking the street with high-powered weapons. However, the chaos didn't end there.
That's my niece! This is the police. What the hell is this? I mean, people killing your own and you're getting harassed. These people, I don't know what to say this is. That's what I'm talking about right now. I want nobody killing me. Like I'm on the road there. I don't want nobody.
This woman was seen clashing with police shortly after they managed to restrain a group of fighting women. However, she wasn't the only one.
That's her daddy. She wants to see your daddy.
Okay, you can't see him.
Police were eventually able to restrain residents, and the man's body was placed on a stretcher and into a black hearse. Ferguson could not say if this latest killing was connected to Friday night's murder, which also happened in Nassau Village, or Saturday's murder of a woman shot to death in the back seat of a car in Pinewood Gardens. He urged anyone with information to contact police.
We are appealing to members of the public who might have information to kindly provide the police with all necessary information that would assist with this investigations.
And police need your help finding these wanted suspects. It's still unclear what incidents these men are wanted in connection with. However, authorities say they desperately need to question Louis Williams, Carlos Colbrook, and Giovanni LaFleur. If you know where any of these men are, contact police at 911-919 or 328-TIPS. 4 months after putting gamblers on notice, Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade has renewed his warning to people engaging in illegal activities at numbers houses to stop immediately. He told NB12 it's important to keep information to himself because of who is involved, adding that if Bahamians stay tuned, they might be surprised.
Don't put a time limit on this. Don't put a time limit on it. When you least expect it, you may see lots of activity from the police department.
He's said it before and he's saying it again. Police can turn up at web shops at any time. Commissioner Greenslade was responding to harsh criticism leveled against the police force after Assistant Commissioner Leon Bethel appealed to people who gamble in web shops to provide evidence and testify against those businesses. It's an appeal the Bahamas Christian Council called nonsensical. Well, Greenslade says he can't fault Bethel for his comments, adding that just because authorities haven't taken action as yet, it doesn't mean they won't.
There is a lot more to it than just showing up and saying there's a police raid. There's a lot more to it than that. Very much more to it than that. And so as not to give you, sorry, with the greatest respects, I want the element of surprise to be on my side. And I want to follow the letter of the law. And so whenever we respond to it, you'll know, and we will follow the letter of the law. Whatever the law says that we can do, we will. But it will be at a time that we determine to be the right time.
The fate of web shops has yet to be decided more than 7 months after voters went to the polls and overwhelmingly rejected their taxation and regulation. A case is pending in the Supreme Court to determine whether web shops can legally engage in gaming activities. The commissioner urged the public to stay tuned.
But I'm going to keep that with myself because of who's involved, where these things are, and I'm not threatening. I'm telling you. You may be surprised. Stay tuned.
Fresh off a week-long diplomatic trip to the United States, Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell held a news conference at Lynden Pinling International Airport moments after his plane landed. Mitchell, who was in Miami over the weekend, revealed the Christie administration is set to begin talks with the Cuban government, starting with a delegation that left for Havana today. Jasmine Bonnaby has more in this report.
The minister revealing that he and other government officials will be meeting with Cuban officials to discuss immigration issues.
Minister Mitchell revealed that a delegation headed by Foreign Affairs Permanent Secretary Philip Miller and the Commodore of the Defense Force Roderick Bowe headed to Cuba. That team, he says, will begin talks on the modalities of a more efficient return of Cuban migrants to their homeland. He adds that the decision to send a team to Cuba was approved in cabinet last month. Mitchell says he too plans to meet with the Cuban Minister of Foreign Affairs this week.
The specific thing that's being dealt with now, this team that's going to Cuba, is in 1998, the then government signed a protocol with the Cuban government, which would have allowed the direct repatriation in a short space of time for Cuban migrants found in this country back to Cuba. There were some modalities that were supposed to be settled as to how that should be done. Who are the agencies, what are the executing forms, and all the rest of that. That was never done. Part of the issue here is that people simply are in these detention facilities for too long. And of course, that we are doing work to improve and upgrade the facility so that there aren't these allegations of the actual conditions themselves arising.
Talks between Cuban and Bahamian officials come amid protests in South Florida over the alleged abuse of Cuban detainees in the Carmichael Road Detention Center. The details revealed in a report that was published in the media last week. Despite those protests, Mitchell insists the Bahamas' relationship with Cuba has not been damaged.
No interruption in the state of relations between Cuba and ourselves, and none between ourselves and the United States. As I tried to indicate, this is, in my view, very much a local dispute confined to South Florida, which is designed to rattle the cages of Bahamians. Most Bahamians ignored it.
As for the criticisms leveled against the Foreign Affairs Minister by the Free National Movement, Mitchell dismissed them as political ploys by what he called desperate people. Mitchell defended his role in the Cuban controversy, saying he remains unapologetic over his handling of the issue.
I'm always loath to dignify what they say or do by any form of comment. I think it's outrageous what they've said about our country. My role as the chief diplomat of the Bahamas is to defend this country's reputation, and that's what I do. I'm unapologetic about it, and those who want to apologize for it, like the leader of the opposition seems to want to do, fine, that's their role. My role is to defend the country as long as I have this role.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Coming up after the break, students prepare to head back to school, plus a look at school policing 1 year later. So stay with us.